How did you get to New York City?
On an airplane.
What's the story?
Okay, let's see. How did I get here? And I'm assuming that any sort of interpretation of that question,
Correct,
is completely fine.
Yeah.
Okay. How did I get here? I've been living here now since November of 2020. So I moved during the pandemic, pre-election, pre-vaccine. See?
Okay. Yeah.
Opportunity. Strikes. I came here for a myriad of reasons. I came because I'm a comedian and I write and all this stuff, and it's a great town. This actually, I can make this kind of romantic. This is a cool, so I spent a good amount of time here prior to moving here. I was living back and forth between LA and New York for, I guess, 4-ish years. And the comedy scene here is amazing. And you can do so much more here. Like, there's a lot more stage time. There's a lot more comedy clubs, more like comedy shows and venues and whatnot. It's a live theater town, I also was extremely intellectual here, and I'm like drawn to that. Where I grew up, I would say like a 3-syllable word and see people's like light leave their eyes. You know what I mean? So I was terrible. I was like, I can't. Like, people in LA, it's like they're truly like, they're down to be dumb. Like, they're totally cool with that. They're like, of course I'm stupid. Thinking sears lines into your face that create wrinkles. So I just can't. And also, it's like, I don't know. I think after a while, you're just like, there's like a wave of anti-intellectualism there. And also like, there's like a fetishization of youth culture that's like really tough for me. And then, time is linear. You get older and then you're like, why am I losing relevance even though like I'm getting better and smarter at what I'm doing? So I didn't like that. Anyway, I lived back and forth for a while. I really liked New York. And I would spend so much time out here. I actually used to live on South 2nd and Bedford.
Oh, really?
So super close. Yeah. And you could say your address and you're right. You didn't want to say okay. Go for it. You can tell them where you live. So yeah, I was spending a lot of time out here and I really liked it. And then the pandemic hit and I was trapped in LA throughout that whole time. And that was a big catalyst for me to move because I was relegated to just like staying in LA. I hadn't been back to New York in like 6 months. And this is somebody who, I was going to New York every other month, something like that. Spending a lot of time there, or here rather. And yeah, I was just in LA and I was like, damn, I like really miss New York. And I would see online that a lot of my peers were doing all these like outdoor comedy shows. This is like in September of 2020. And, people were like, things were still happening in New York, and it was still like outdoor, like, cause New York is malleable. Like people, there's if there's like a blockade, someone will go around it. There's like, and I think that type of spirit and ingenuity I really dig, The
irreverence.
Yeah. And it's just like, like nobody said, like, we're going to do it. We're going to fucking go after it. And it's really motivating. That was not happening in LA. There was no like outdoor comedy shows. There was nothing. Like, it was just kind of like, well, we're just like here and you just hike. I just would like smoke weed, hike, and cook. That's like all I did. So I wanted to come to just like, I'm like, I just want to come to New York just for like a few days and, do some comedy. I hadn't been on stage since, early March, So I came and I stayed at a friend's place. She was like at her home in upstate. I got to stay with her stay at her place for like a week by myself. And I mean, it was so fun and fruitful and great. And I got to perform again and it felt really good. And then I was at this like outdoor little gathering, like in a park, and I was on mushrooms. And I overheard this guy, literally, I overheard this guy talking, and he's like, I just moved there from Paris, and my girlfriend is still there, and my sister who I had a business with, she's still there, but I knew in my heart I had to come to New York. And I'm like on mushrooms, and I'm like, this fucking guy. This guy has left everything. Like, this guy, he left his country of origin. He's like, doesn't even speak English that good. And he has to like get a fucking green card and do all these things and jump through all these hoops, and like left his girlfriend and his sister and all of this. What the fuck is my excuse? I lived in the same 30-mile radius my whole life. I like literally am born and raised in Southern California. I never fucking left. I didn't go to college. I stayed in the same zone, and I go, you know what? Something's got to give. I got to go. So that was like inspiring to me. I'm like, I'm a fucking American citizen. I can just fucking go. I don't have anything that's holding me back. I have literally, I'm like, I'm not fucking married. I'm not in a relationship. I'm good. I should just go. So I came back to LA and then I told my roommate and I told my mom, I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm going to go. And yeah. And then I moved and it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like truly, like I say this, like usually life, you have to make choices and choices suck because you have to measure, okay, you have to like, weigh out things of like, what's the smart move for me to do? Should I do this? Should I do this? And there's ups and downs and there's benefits and there's risk. And I think when you have epiphanies, that's rare. And this was like an epiphany. I was like, I have to move here. It wasn't even a choice. It's just like I had to. And I did. And it was like the smartest thing I ever did. It was like extremely fruitful for me. So yeah, that's my story.
In retrospect, what do you think that was about?
Can you be more specific about the question?
Epiphany, the certainty that this was something you needed to do.
I think that I was in like a hamster wheel in a way. I was like, I had golden handcuffs. I had an amazing apartment in Los Feliz in LA. I had an amazing roommate and her and I like had this great apartment that was rent controlled. We lived in for like 8 years. And I think that doesn't really create like a fire under your ass too much. And it's like, I was just like middling in a way where it's like, I was doing comedy and I was like acting, but like, it was just kind of like, just not too much was happening. And it's just, I was like DJing, but I was DJing a lot, but it wasn't really like leading to anything. It wasn't like bigger like opportunities. It was just like, it felt pretty, I don't know, it was a plateau like moment for me. And then during the pandemic, I think that LA is just not a very resilient city. And look, I mean, retrospectively, what a fucking smart choice I made. I mean, LA has suffered so many losses. I mean, they had the writer's strike and the acting strike, and then it also had the fires. Yeah. And there was all of these, and now these like ICE raids. It's like, LA has been kind of going through the ringer for the last few years, and my friends that live there, I mean, the economy is really suffering. I mean, bars are closing, restaurants are closing, and I think it's really tough for people there that are in the creative community. I think they're having trouble finding work, and I don't know, maybe I just had a feeling that it was going to work out fine, and it did. And I was really lucky, but I don't know.
Tell me about your comedy career before you came to New York. What were you up to? What were you doing?
I've always been doing stand-up for a while, been doing stand-up for like 11 years. I had like some shows I would produce, like run some stand-up shows. I mean, it was just though, like, there's only 3 comedy clubs really.
What are they?
There is the Improv, the Comedy Store, and the Laugh Factory. Laugh Factory is a bit more commercial, so it's like, I've never even performed at the Laugh Factory. Then there's the Comedy Store, these are all great places. The Improv and the Comedy Store are great, but New York has like 40 comedy clubs. LA, it's pretty much those 3. And then there was like, I'm trying to think of another one. There's like one, the Ice House. That's in Burbank, I think, or Pasadena. There's just not that many. So like, if you're just looking like at stage time, you have significantly less stage time in LA, just way less. So just, numbers wise, it's better to come here as a comedian to New York because you just have more opportunity to perform, like significantly more. My career out there. Yeah. I mean, I was going on auditions. I mean, I think I was, acting in some stuff here and there and like doing some like indie stuff and making things with my friends and whatnot. But I think when also the pandemic happened, most things are self-tape. And so it didn't really matter where you were. Like, I mean, before the pandemic, you would have to go in person to do auditions. So it would make more sense to be in LA. And then it doesn't really matter if I'm auditioning for something. Almost everything is tape. So yeah.
How did you get into stand-up in the first place?
I loved acting. I've always just like been interested in comedy. I don't know, silly, funny kid. I was a class clown in high school. So pretty good. But I was always like silly. I don't know. I started going to UCB improv class. So I did like 101 and then 201. And I believe it was in 201 or 301. I met these guys that were like, yeah, we're going to some like open mics and doing stand up. You should come. You're funny. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I guess I don't know. I haven't really like written jokes. And they're like, you should just, it's like 3 minutes. Just like come and prepare something. I'm like, all right. And I'm like looking, I would write quite a bit. I would like journal quite a bit. And I'm looking at like what I would write. And I'm like, damn, actually, funny enough, like most of what I write is jokes. But I wasn't really aware of it. I was like, oh, these are all like observations. Like, but my journal is like observations and jokes. So I kind of like put together a little bit of a set list. And then I go to this open mic with these guys. I was 22, 23. And yeah, I did it and it was terrifying, but I wanted to do it again. And then I just kind of kept going to open mics and I like hit them pretty hard for like about a year. And then I started to like produce a show with another comedian. And then you just kind of slow roll it out. And that's kind of how I started, I guess. But yeah, I did all of like the UCB improv training, and then I was like taking some acting classes, some clown classes and stuff like that. This is true. You laugh. Oh, you laugh? You laugh? The hardest I've ever made you laugh, and it's nothing I said. You're literally just laughing at me. You're literally laughing at me right now. You're getting red. You're getting pink and laughing at me. But go ahead. Laugh away.
What's the clown class?
I don't know if I want to tell you what the clown class is. You don't seem like you earnestly, genuinely want to know.
I do.
Well, I bet you're going to laugh at this. There is a clown teacher named Dr. Brown. His real name is Phil Burgers. That's correct. Real name, Phil Burgers. Incredible clown. Amazing. We studied with a Goulier, who is a French clown. See, you don't know shit about this world, okay? Look at you all high and mighty laughing at clown stuff. It's quite serious. No, Goulier is one of the most, that's what Baskets is like based on. You fuck. Yeah. It's actually, here's the thing, clown is pretty fucking cool because it's like, it's all about we can hear your smugness. This is an audio medium, and I hear how smug you are. I'll continue.
Thank you.
So clowning, it's an ancient art form. Okay, maybe not ancient, older. It's an old art form. Court jester. Do you know why this is fun fact. Court jesters, they have like, bells on their hats, right? You're talking about the jester hat? So. Do you know why they had bells on their hats?
No.
A lot of them were epileptics. And when they would be shaking, you'd be like, oh no, like put a wooden spoon in their mouth or whatever. And basically what I have found out by way of history is that most jesters were probably just like physically or mentally disabled people of the community that they would like dress up and make do silly things.
Whoa.
I know. So I went to school for that. But I'm not an epileptic, so I go, how do I learn their ways? Yeah, but isn't that crazy? That's what they would like, and then they would shake, and they'd be like, all right, they're jiggling again. No, clown's really interesting. It's like the way that you are on stage. It's really good for stage performers because you're supposed to like, there's an earnestness the clown has to have. So like the whole like thought of clowning, you go on stage and you try your hardest to make someone laugh, right? And if you earnestly come on stage with nothing and you are really reading the crowd, that's why it's really helpful as a performer. And I don't consider myself like, I'm not a clown performer. I'm a stand-up comic, pretty like straight stand-up comic. But there's like a huge clowning community, especially in LA. There's like a lot of like good trained clowns, funny enough. But you can like improv too. It's like, I think these are great things I'm glad I'm educated about. I went to like some, I've taken classes with them, studied under some great people, and I'm really grateful I did. And I have incorporated that knowledge into my stage persona as a stand-up comic, which I'm glad. But yeah.
What part of the clown training have you taken into stand-up?
So a lot of it is like a lot of comedians, they go on stage, they have their written material, and a lot of times that written material is pretty rigid. You know, they maybe they'll kind of open it up a little bit. Maybe they'll kind of improvise. But if you look at the audience as a gift instead of a hindrance, and I think a lot of comedians are like, I'm going to go on stage and just tell my jokes. I'm going to stare at the back wall and I'm going to just tell my jokes. And maybe like you'll learn timing and whatnot and like where the laughter is. And that's like the live aspect of it. But if you actually look at the audience, that's a big thing too with clown. You go on stage and you look at people while you perform. Like I look people in the eyes when I perform, and that's a great feedback. You know, and I think a lot of times, like you'll hear your tape afterward and you'll be like, oh, did that joke work? And you're using the metric of laughter, which is a great metric, but using the metric of being able to read people and act live time, it's being able to really react as quick as possible. And you can stretch the taffy with your material quite a bit, you know, where it's like, yes, I have written material, but I want a sense of play when I perform. If I can play, as long as I can play and not have to even tell a written joke, but I'm making people laugh, that is fun because that's evergreen. And then I can, and we're all having fun because we're creating it together. Because what's the point of performing live unless you pay attention to the fact that you're in a live room with real people?
Yeah.
And they can affect your material or how you perform, you know, or following your genuine curiosity as a performer of like, you see someone wearing a fucking dumb hat and you go, what is that hat? What is like, this is, I'm not just like pandering to the crowd. I'm following my genuine curiosity and that's what's leading me right now. And another thing, like, so entrances in clowning is really important, like the way you come on stage. And then this whole thing, and I'm just kind of talking about like rudimentary clown, but like you would go on stage, you would look at the audience, and then you would try something. You'd make an attempt. Now, maybe the attempt is literally you doing some dumb thing with your elbow, twisting your elbow. And let's say you get a little laugh. Well, then you go, cool. I know that that's funny now. Somebody has signaled to me that that's funny. So I'm going to keep doing this. Or let's say you do a twist of an elbow, nobody laughs. Okay, well then try something else. Try something else. Try something else. Now, with stand-up, it should be that you should be able to tell a joke. And if it's not landing, offer something else. Do something else. What can you do now? Shift. You have to be able to change all the time on stage. If you are not hearing laughter every few seconds as a comedian, you're not doing well. So you got it, like you got to keep going, keep going. There is this analogy that our teacher would say that I loved, which is like, he would say like, okay, to give this example of like, there is a kid in a classroom and the teacher's like, okay, I want to ask, who knows what the capital of France is? And this kid raises his hand straight, just so excited. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, Billy, what is it? Goes London. No, it's Paris. Paris is actually the city center of France. But good job, close. But you know. And he goes, okay. He goes, okay. I want to ask, what is the capital of the state of California? And Billy's hand zooms right up. And he's like, oh, I know this one. I know this one. I know this one. That like excitement that you have, you know, I know this. He's like, okay, Billy, again, go for it. And he goes, Portland. No, it's Sacramento, but that was really, so this whole analogy of like, you should always be so excited and willing to share and try. And if you can maintain that level of excitement and not be downtrodden by, you will tell a joke as a clown, you go on stage and you'll try something and you might fail. And then having the awareness, like even the clown frowning at themselves on stage, well, then that can be funny. So then how can they work that? So it's like really in live time when you're on stage as a comedian too, it's like offering a joke. The joke didn't land. Okay, so let's be a little self-aware. Let's either like make fun of yourself in some way or offer something else and be just as excited. Don't be upset that the joke didn't work. See it as information that you're getting and be able to offer something else like as quick as possible, you know, and that genuine excitement to share, I think, and not be dissuade when you get it wrong. And I think, that was a part of the kind of analogy too. It's like, he'd be like, oh, dang, it's not okay. oh, I know, you know, it's just like, and still like, it's like, yeah, you can kind of minorly like reflect on like, oh, that didn't work. But it's like, just keep trying, keep going, keep trying. And I think that's a beautiful little analogy on how to perform for the stage. It's for people, you know?
Did that come naturally for you?
What?
Being on stage, behaving that way?
Yeah, I'm very obnoxious. Can't you tell? I'm so yappy. I talk so much.
I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Are you being facetious?
No, do you remember being very nervous from the beginning and that enduring, or did that go away very quickly when you were doing stand-up?
No, I was so nervous. I was so nervous.
How long did that last?
It still happens sometimes. If I'm doing a big show or there's somebody in the, audience I respect or like a peer, it's like I'll do sometimes a show and there's like famous comedians there and you're just like, I want this person to think I'm funny. There'll be a little bit of, butterflies in the stomach, It doesn't stop me. And that's another thing too, which I really like about the whole clown thing. It's like we do things we're scared of all the time. So like fear, if you wouldn't do something because you're afraid, you wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't fucking leave the house.
Yeah. So
it's like fear should never interrupt you doing something, ever. Like we do things that we're afraid of all the time. Just go, keep doing it. I think when I first started, I was really I remember the first time I did an open mic, I got off stage. I blacked out for sure. I literally went on stage, don't remember what I said, got off stage, go, I have no idea how that went. Because I was terrified. And that definitely persisted for a while. And then you get off, and then, maybe fourth time, maybe somebody, there's a little bit of a laugh. And you're like, oh, so you're getting some positive feedback. And then you get a little bit better and a little bit better. And it's just the 10,000 hour rule. You just do it over and over and over and over again. And you have to be a little bit of a fool in that way. There's so many, I'm terrible at so many things. I don't know how to do math at all, at all. I'm awful at so many things. I was really bad at school. I barely passed high school. And I think that I'm used to failing. I'm so okay with that. I'm okay with that. And I also got teased a lot growing up. And so I think that's another thing too that's nice is when I'm going to go on stage and people are going to make fun of me, I go, what's new? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay.
That can be its own super skill.
I think if anything, if you had a really easy time in school, whether it be socially or scholastically, you haven't, I feel like I've failed. I started to fail when I was 6. You know what I mean? I just didn't I was terrible at school. My comprehension was awful. I couldn't get, I was like, huh, what? Barely, but was just struggling in school. And then also kind of a nerd and getting made fun of. And it's I'm miserable. So then it's just now I'm well, I don't know. It's actually so much better now.
When you moved to New York, did you more consider yourself a stand-up comedian or an actress? What were you coming here to do primarily?
Probably stand up because, I consider myself both pretty equally. But I think definitely with stand up, it was this will move the needle. And also just moving. I love this city. I think aside even just from, it's not just a professional thing. It's I love the spirit of this town. I think I meet amazing people all the time. All the time. You just go out and a friend of a friend or even just a stranger you just start chatting with. And you're like, this person's amazing. I have met so many lovely people all the time. And I think in LA, there's amazing people there and I have incredible friends there, but it's a little bit more insular. This is a very social town. So you can go out to an amazing art event and you just start talking to a stranger this person's fucking dope. You make friends all the time here. And there's a genuine curiosity and drive. And I think that's extremely motivating. So it's lifestyle as well. It's a cultural capital. It's the most diverse city in the entire world. You have the best food, arts, the experiences, everything. It's really tickles me. And so it makes me really happy just living here. I even just walk around and I love the architecture. It's really a totally different environment than in which I grew up in, and I love it. So, yes, it's professionally for sure as a comedian, but just my general interests in music and art and literature and cuisine, and it also feeds all of those things. So it's much more spiritually nutritious for me to be here. I feel like this is my town, and I would live here for the rest of my life and be happy. And that would feel like success. That would feel like an accomplishment.
How did you hit the ground running when you moved here in terms of trying to get your comedy career off the ground in New York?
Well,
you do?
it was a little tough because I moved here in the midst of I moved here in November 2020, so things weren't really open yet. I feel like, I guess I couldn't even really, I didn't even really, wasn't able to start doing things until like the vaccine really came out. And that was like what, April of 2021?
Something like that.
Yeah. So when I moved here, and that's the thing too, I think I really focused on like, how do I create a physical environment for myself to feel comfortable in so I can succeed? Because I am a homebody and I'm kind of a homemaker in that way, where like when I moved here, I was like, I need my home to be like really nice. And so when I moved all of my stuff, and I have a crazy like record collection. I have like a lot of like vintage clothes. I've like brought all like my furniture. Like I brought and a lot of art, and creating like I think that was like a big thing. I really like nested. I was like I really took care of my apartment and like put all this art on the wall and made it so that my home was like a place of sanctity where I could go in this kind of like, this town's fucking chaotic.
Yeah.
Can I come home and feel really in my element at home? And that to me was a big like first step of like creating an environment in which I felt comfortable so I can take those risks when I leave my house, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So I did that first. And then I guess I already knew people here because I was coming here for a number of years. And just like, doing comedy shows, I was DJing, I was doing all these things and just kind of just going, that I had already kind of a good little nest egg of people I knew. Like I already had some people I knew here, and I had some friends. And so first things first, it was like, okay, how do I make some money? And so DJing makes me money. So I was like doing that, and it's just like reaching out to people, which is still what I do all the time as a comedian. It's like, you're just DMing people and they're like, can I do your show? Can I do this show? Can I do this show? And you just got to keep
hustling,
just asking all the time to do stuff I just ask all the time, just ask people. So I guess, I don't feel like I hit the ground running when I came here, but because it wasn't physically possible. Does that make sense? Like, yeah.
Once the city opened up, was it really DJing for money, comedy at night? How did that go?
Yeah, DJ. Both kind of occur at night, but yeah, I guess I realized I produced a show when I came here called Thruple that I would do with my friend Harkness Granger and my friend Alex Cahart. So we first did it at this place that doesn't exist anymore called oh my God, what the fuck is it called? It was in Chelsea. It was like some stupid like venue, Norwood. That's what it's called. So that was another thing too. It's like I was like, okay, how do I should have like a monthly or weekly show that I can like put comedians on, so that I can also like make some more connections within that world. Stand-up show.
Yeah.
So I would do that. Then we moved into the Slipper Room. Then I did a show with this comedy kind of. I guess they're like a collective called Pure Chaos, and I was doing a monthly show for them as well with Elliot Thompson. So I was kind of I was like, okay, these were all just like things like creating shows, producing shows, so I can kind of ingratiate myself with other comedians and whatnot. And then I got pretty lucky where I was working for Soho Grand and the Roxy prior. I was like just DJing for them, and my friend who was the music director, she had moved to LA and I had just moved here, so she kind of handed the baton to me, so to speak, and so I took her title and role. And then so that role was offered to me, and that's what kind of established like, okay, great, now I have like a job. I have like a good job. I also got to make money. That's the thing too. It's like I got lucky. But there's that saying that I do love, which is like luck is the residue of good design. And like I am good at what I do, and I'm like a nice person. And I feel like if you're good at what you do and you're a nice person, like things you'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? Like
for sure,
you'll be fine. You don't even have to be that good at what you do. If you're just like a nice person, seriously, if you're just like really nice and giving, I think like good things happen to you. But yeah, I got let's see. I think one of the first big jobs I got was for doing music curation for this Vegas show, and there was a place called Super Freako that still exists, and it's at the Cosmopolitan, and they wanted to do a vinyl program, but that was like they offered me a good amount of money, and I was like, oh my God, thank fucking God. Because I was so broke when I was like eating beans legitimately. I was, and I spent thousands of dollars to move here, obviously, and I moved all my stuff. It was like, so I was living off my savings, and that was getting pretty bleak. But I turned it around. Like, I mean, I really turned it around. Like I came here with like not that much money, and then I got good jobs and I made a bunch of money. And that's great. So, but again, what we were talking about earlier, of just like, it doesn't necessarily, making money can be one step, but it doesn't necessarily translate into success. Success and money are not really connected too much. And actually, a lot of comedians I know that I think are pretty successful, they're financially fucking trashed. You know what I mean? Seriously, it's such a fucking, yeah. And a lot of times being financially successful can also hinder you from really maybe making bolder risks with your time and energy, because like, especially with this fucking the real estate market's so fucking expensive here. Like my rent's expensive. So yes, I would like to allocate more time and energy into like my art, but I have to also, money is extremely important to be made here, or I won't be able to pay my rent. Yeah. Which is astronomical.
What have been your favorite places to perform at as a stand-up in New York?
Ooh, I mean, there's a lot of great shows here. I mean, I love like a proper theater stage. I think that's really fun. Like the Slipper Room is a great room. That's like a burlesque stage, so they have like, they have theater lighting.
Where is that in the city?
That's on Orchard and like Rivington. It's in Lower East Side.
Okay.
Fun fact, that's where Lady Gaga like was performing like in like the early 2000s, like late 90s. Yeah, she was like, it's a classic spot. It's been around for like 30, 40 years, something like that. I like that stage. There was a great comedy club called the Williamsburg Comedy Club that we all kind of loved because we got to just like, it's a great workout room. New York Comedy Club is great. These are all just like Fatback Pussycat, which is great. That's like in West Village. That's like a part of the whole like
Comedy Cellar.
Comedy Cellar, yeah. What else? I mean, even like little bar shows. Like that's the nice thing too. It's like I love the fucking punky run and gun. Like we're gonna perform on a rooftop in somebody's backyard. That's fun. Like you can make anything a comedy show. There just has to be an audience. That's all that there has to be. So, and I've had great sets in like the dingiest, like dumpiest places. And I think I actually fancy myself like, I like that I can do comedy anywhere. Like I don't need to do like some comedians, I think they're a little too spoiled by a proper comedy club where they're like, oh, if it's not like, I'm like, dude, I've done shows where like, you're in a dive bar and nobody wants you there. And if you can do well in that room, you're a good comic. You could do well, I can do well in a room full of people that are like talking and don't want to see comedy.
What makes a great stand-up comedian in your mind?
Being resilient. I mean, being funny, obviously, but it's like, it's kind of like what makes a good DJ. Can you read the room and give the room what they want and need? Can you be willing to break whatever, like the pattern or whatever? We come on stage with an intention, of like, oh, I wrote this new joke. I really want to tell it. But you have to be able to abandon your plan at any point and serve the room, because in turn you'll be serving yourself, because if you're just going to go up there and be like, I want to tell this joke, but like they're not really giving you, maybe you're broaching the subject and it's like that you can tell like they're not interested, then you got to really jump ship in a way. And that requires a lot of skill. Now, sometimes they're like, it doesn't really matter. I just need to say this into the microphone. I really want to just kind of get this joke out. Now that's fine too, but it's all about intention. Now, do you just want to say that into the microphone because you have a spot afterward that you're like, I just need to work on this and I'm just going to do this, even though this room doesn't want to hear this joke. But I love when a comic is like, they have a plan, but they don't have like, they don't need to be precious about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like just, because that's the thing too. If you're having fun, like my favorite comic is Rory Scovel. I love him so much. He's so fun to watch. He has great written jokes, but he also plays. There's such a fun sense of play. That's the comedian I want to be. Like, I love to play. Like, what's the point? Like, I want to say the jokes that I've written, but like, if I'm not having like fun, how would I expect these strangers that don't know me to have fun? Like, it's And I'm doing it for me too. It's like I want to make people laugh, but like if I'm having a good time and I mean and being off the cuff, that's so rewarding. Like being off the cuff and that working out, like if you're just like improvising, if you're riffing and that's working, oh my God, what a joy. Because then you're like, yeah, I'm actually funny. Like I didn't even think about it. I'm just flowing right now. You're like in a fucking flow state. Like there's like this great Kurt Vonnegut quote where he says, sometimes you have to jump off the precipice and build your wings on the way down. And I think a lot of comedy can be like that and is like that, where it's like, yeah, just like, sometimes I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to say. Like I just, you have a premise. You're like, I'll figure it out. Because the energy in the room too, like it'll make you perform. Like I'm like, I won't bomb super hard because I can't in front of these people. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can make it work. I can make it work. And I want them to be entertained, you know?
What's the primary motivation for you to do this all these years? Is it mostly just a love of comedy and laughter? Like, what do you think?
I think I'm an idiot. I don't know. I really am. Like, I think I'm so. It's like so funny. It's like I'm not even super successful, and I'm like, I don't know. I just do things because I think sometimes I don't know any better. I feel like, so what's your goal? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I wish I had strategy. I have no strategy. I don't know. I like it. I'm good at it. And I like doing it. I just like...
It's that simple.
It's super simple. I really like garner... I think there is like an intrinsic reward and value in it for me. Like I do it for the sake of doing it. Yeah. You know, I think sometimes some stand-up comics... Sometimes people do stand-up comedy because they're like, I just want to be on TV. Like I want to be an actor. And that's actually a great way to, if you know, back in the day, if you wanted to get your own TV show, like do stand up and then you can kind of build your career through that. I don't have too much of a strategy, I guess. I just like, I write jokes quite a bit. This is like a format and medium that is conducive to my voice. I like being on stage. I like live performing. I like that it's extremely individualistic. I don't have to, you know, filmmaking is very collaborative, which I love about that. But stand up is like, no excuses. Like I have ideas. I have these thoughts and ideas. I write them down. I then transmute them to paper or, you know, whatever, type them out, figure them out, kind of work them out. And then I say them on stage in my literal own voice. And there's such a purity there. Yeah. And it's also like, it hasn't changed in years and years and years. And this day and age when, you know, we're fucking doom scrolling. And if like we see these like 10-second videos, like we are mostly in this kind of world of like instant gratification. I am so impressed that at this day and age, somebody is still willing to listen to one person speaking to a microphone for 1 hour and be very entertained. That is amazing that has still transcended throughout all of the means of technology and all of these things that are vying for your attention. You can still listen to somebody speaking to a microphone for an hour and be so drawn in. It's great. It's simple. And it's pure.
It's
cool.
very human.
It's cool. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I'm a yapper, like I said.
Who here have you seen that? And I know you've probably seen dozens and dozens, probably hundreds at this point of different stand-ups at all the different shows and venues around town, but you said Rory. Who else comes to mind for you that's just, you're just sort of in awe of them or you really admire their work, you think they're hilarious?
There's so many people I admire their work. Like I love Kate Berlant. I really love like Cola Scola. There's so many good comedians in this town. And those are like bigger names, but there's like even people that I'm like, oh, my friend Zach Zucker, he's great. And he does like, you know, and he's mostly clown. But like, I'm just impressed. I am really, there's so many different like voices too. Like, and it's like, I don't know. There's like this, like, I don't know. Like I said to you when I first like met you, I was like, I really genuinely like people. Like they give me energy. I'm excited by people. And I feel that way about comedy too, where it's like, I see somebody perform and I'm like, you know, if they're good, I'm genuinely interested in like what they have to say. I'm trying to think of like who else. I don't know. I don't know. Should I just like rattle names off?
If anyone comes to mind. You've named some.
I named some.
Maybe if some additional ones come to mind, feel free to just name drop some people. But in an ideal week, how many times are you up on stage doing it?
Ideally, a lot more than I am.
What would be ideal, do you think?
I think it would be nice if I was past at more of a proper club. Like I did, I was like at Williamsburg Comedy Club quite a bit before they closed. And that was nice because it was like, great, I get to like work out material like as much as I'd like, pretty much. It would be really nice if I could have like 3 to 5 spots a week. Not nights a week, like split but
total 3 to 5 total.
Yeah. I think because I don't need to do that many. I think it's like some comics are like, you got to do like 5 spots a night. I go, I just don't. I don't even think at that point you're just doing quantity over quality. I don't need to do that many. And in fact, sometimes I won't be like if I'm shooting something. I did a feature last year, and I had to be in a remote area to shoot for like a month and a half. Obviously I couldn't do any stand up then. So, but when I got back into town and I like got back on the horse, I was totally fine because I've been doing stand up long enough that like if I take like a lapse to do something else, work on another project, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it would be nice to have a lot more stage time just so I can. Because that's the thing, too. It's like if you're not performing as much, then you're really just doing the set that you kind of know and you're not being that exploratory because you're like, well, I just don't have enough. I don't have enough like stage time to like risk me like fucking this up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you have more availability, then you have more freedom to like really, really be a little bit more open and loose on stage,
For sure.
So I think that's what if I went up a lot more, then I would have that freedom and availability.
Yeah.
Because I could be like, oh, like, let me just try this out. If it doesn't go well, whatever, I have a show tomorrow night.
You talked a little bit about how you're making money to survive here. How do most comedians survive in New York, given that
they live in Ridgewood?
You can talk. I would love to hear you talk to this, but like I have heard a little bit about how little comedians make at any given set, even at the biggest venues in New York. What do you know about that, and how are most people surviving here?
You're lucky if you get like $20 to do a show. Like you're lucky. I mean, seriously, like you don't get. I mean, in LA it was way worse. You don't get paid at all in LA, and this will be for ticketed shows. It'll be like $25 a ticket. You're not seeing a cent of that. You're lucky if you get a fucking drink ticket. So in New York, at least you do get paid a little bit for your time sometimes. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's $10, and if you take a car there, I mean. I make negative money from doing comedy. I don't make any money from doing comedy. I mean, any money in terms of like, if you want to like grand scheme of things, I don't make money. If you want to, the amount of times I have taken a $40 Uber to do a show, and you're getting $10. So it's like, you're usually in the red. I think most people either have like a regular job. So let's say like I have friends that they have like an office job. They work a 9 to 5. That doesn't interfere with comedy, which is nice. It interferes with your energy, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I think a lot of people, they have regular jobs and then they get off work and then they'll like, hit some shows or whatever. Or they have to really tighten their belt. Or they can do like some commercial acting. I think a lot of people that also have like a big online presence, they can make some money doing that. So they can do some ads and stuff like that. Little things here and there. Acting, I think, usually garners you a little bit more money, but that's again like if you're kind of doing more commercial stuff like that. But that's usually, I mean, I have friends that work at like bars. Like I'm talking about all the comedians that like how they make money. I'm like working at bars, restaurants, retail, regular job, really tightening your belt, like being able to like live off nothing, like being broke, like just being broke, and how far they can stretch their dollar. So a lot of these comics, like they'll live in like the boonies, they'll live out pretty far in order to like save money so they can do their art, I think it's probably.
Do you get the sense that lifestyle is really negatively affecting these people? That it really is a major struggle?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the hope is that it's temporary.
Yeah.
That's the hope. The hope is that you suffer for a few years financially, but then something, you get. That's another thing too. It's like there is some jobs in comedy, it's like they're like, okay, like, well, like I became a writer for, Fallon or whatever like that. There will be people that become a writer for a late night show or they can have or some TV or whatever, even if it's just like a temp job or whatever. So it can lead to some money. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are really stressed out. I mean, my friends that are stressed out about money that do comedy, I think that's another thing too. It's like you have to be willing to do stuff that I think sometimes people in entertainment, they're like, I just want a job in my field. And it's like, well, you got to kind of let that go sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I would love to make money acting and doing comedy. I don't really. That's why I do music stuff, which I'm lucky that I even make money doing that because I think a lot of people, they're trying to make money doing what I do in music.
Yeah.
And, I don't envy the struggle, Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, do I think they suffer? For sure. I mean, because I have friends that are telling me that they're suffering, and what's the solution though? It's too competitive. So it's like, the solution is like, well, these venues then need to pay people. Well, guess what? A lot of these comedy clubs, they're not making, you think comedy clubs are making that much money?
Yeah.
That's why they have like a 2-drink minimum or whatever, it's like, they're not making that much money anyway.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this, but I don't know how much thought you've put into how you think about the word success. I think we did talk about this a little bit, but like in your life let's keep it specific to comedy. What does success look like to you in that world?
In comedy?
Yeah.
I would love to be like a series regular on a TV show. I mean, I would like write. I would love to have a good show. I would love to have a TV show like on fucking like FX or Max or something like that. That I have like a great writing staff of like my peers and maybe I'm like the lead or like or one of the main characters in it, and then I have another like the cast is just like good comedians that I like love and work with, and that would be amazing because I would feel like that's something in my voice. Now I say that though with like, God, but I know people that also have that and they're fucking miserable. That's the thing. It's like, that's why I said before, it's like, I do think I would rather be happy than successful. But I think a lot of times, like, yes, being creatively successful would make me happy, but within reason. Like I don't have.
They're unhappy because they're overworked.
Yeah. And that's I think, or like, you have to make tough choices. Let's say let's say you're friends with a comedian, you hire them to be on your writing staff and you realize that their output is actually really not working. And you have to, you lose your friends sometimes. You lose your free time, obviously. You can't really like have a great time and go on a fucking picnic in McCarran Park because you got to work all the time. So your social life suffers. Maybe your romantic life suffers. So then you're serving just your art. And that's all fine and good. But sometimes there's not a reciprocity there emotionally or spiritually. Or you have this great idea. You pitch your TV show. It's the story of your life, blah, blah, blah. Now you have other writers and they're changing a bunch of shit. Now your intention of making this thing that you really care about and you're passionate about now is being bastardized by other people. Your vision, you have to be willing to be malleable and like, so maybe being a smaller scale artist is actually a little bit more of a controlled environment. But that also doesn't necessarily elicit a big income. For you to have creative control and make money what a 1 in a million thing. Yeah. That's really rare. Really, really rare. So it's like maybe downscaling what you want to make. Like I get mostly cast in indie stuff, which I love because that it's also, look, does it pay? Not really. That doesn't pay enough to live off of. But like usually I get bigger roles because I'm doing small, it's like I'm not doing like crazy like, film or television. So I get more like short films or feature films that are like small, but I get bigger, meatier roles. And that feels great. And you have a little bit more creative control. Maybe you talk to the director about like, oh, this is what I was thinking about the character and this. And there's some, back and forth. And I don't know. I really, this sounds so lame. I think that the like art life is something that I maybe care more about than what like typical success looks like. Because I say like, oh, I'd love a TV show and this stuff, but I'm like, yeah, but like if it felt good, No, not like, and look, don't get me wrong, not like it has to feel good all the time. It's hard work and there is sacrifice. But imagine you work hard and you sacrifice, and then the product you don't even like. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather do something smaller that not that many people see, but I'm proud of it. Than like something that I make and I'm working my ass off of it. I've like completely detonated my friendships and romantic, life and I have no life except for my work, and then I don't even like my work.
Yeah. How has the community of comedians been in New York? I mean, you've been here for 4 or 5 years. Tell me about that.
I think so good. I've
heard that.
I really feel like it's, I don't know if it was like an LA thing where there truly is more of a finite element of success maybe in Los Angeles, because New York is a city built on finance and Los Angeles is a city built on entertainment. Yeah. So if you work in entertainment in LA, you're already kind of pushing a boulder up a hill a little bit. There is more money here, and there are a lot of comedians and, artists out here. But I think because we know how difficult it is to live here, I think it's really collaborative and really supportive. And I also love, like, there's so many women in comedy here. Yeah. And I know so many great female comedians. And I just generally feel like it's really supportive, which is my takeaway. Like, I feel really good about the people I've met, and like people are there for each other, and it's fun. And like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like
zero sum.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I mean, that being said, sometimes you're just like, people piss you off and get on your nerves or whatnot, but it's like, it generally very positive. I think a really supportive, good community of like pretty like well-intentioned, meaning people that like just care about like making good jokes. Yeah.
Last question I'd love to ask is about how the advice you would give to a friend of yours who is trying to make it as a comedian in New York, or to say it or ask it another way, advice you would give to a younger version of yourself to how to begin to try to have a career here as a stand-up comedian, to get on stage, to try to make it in some meaningful way. What knowledge have you gained? What advice would you give?
Be nice to everyone. Be really nice to everyone, and don't ever write somebody off. And you never know where somebody's going to be. Somebody even at an open mic, like, just don't fucking like lead with your heart. Like, I know it sounds like really cheesy, but it's like, be kind. There's this great Audrey Hepburn quote that I live by, which is, just because I'm nice to you doesn't mean I like you. It means that I'm polite. Be polite all the time. You never know. You might do some open mic with some fucking person. That person ends up blowing the fuck up. Truly. Like, I have so many of my peers, so many people that I like would do open mics with or have Emmys now. Like, they're fucking famous, like working comedians, actors, directors. This is a town where you are supposed to meet people and rub elbows with people and be good, be kind. Now, that doesn't necessarily, if you're like, well, I'm not that social, that's totally fine. You can be an introvert and you can be shy, but always be nice. Don't ever be rude. Don't turn your nose up at people. You might be winning for a little bit, but like, you might not be, and you're going to need your community to bring you up too. So like, honestly, I think being a good person is better than being a funny person when it comes to stand up, because being really funny, if you're an asshole, it doesn't matter. Yeah, maybe you can get some success, but like, there's always going to be gatekeepers. And if somebody doesn't like you, well, that gate's closed, baby. So just be really like, be friendly with everyone. Don't be super judgmental, and like, know that even if some like fellow comedian of yours bombs on stage, like maybe they're just working something out. Maybe they're actually taking bigger risks creatively, and that's why they are bombing, and then they are getting better. And be generous with your laughter. Like, I think, like, seriously, be generous. Like, I produce shows, and being that, like, laugh, be supportive. Like, I think a lot of times people look at things like, this is like such a Western principle of like, I'm feeling down or I want something. What can I do for myself? And, most Eastern thought is the opposite. They go, I want to feel good. What can I do for somebody else? Like instead of doing like the whole idea of like self-care, it's like when you're feeling down, like what can you do for somebody else? Like I think being that person, being able to like be resilient, be kind, and also like you're gonna bomb, so just get over it like already. Like you're gonna eat shit on stage, and you're gonna eat shit on stage in front of people you respect. And so hopefully they are also as forgiving as you have now become with my great advice. But yeah, and also just like, yes, be a squeaky wheel, but I think another thing is don't bother people too much. That's like another thing. It's like sometimes like as somebody who would produce shows, you know, comedians and a lot of times like, you just got to keep asking all the time. And it's like, yeah, but like, don't be super fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Like just be nice, be social, be a good hang, be kind, be sweet, be a good comic. But hopefully you are a good comic if you already, or like there is like a nucleus there to be a good comic. But yeah, I think literally being nice is like a big thing.
What is the fine line between being persistent and being annoying when trying to create opportunities?
Look at how many times you've asked this person for something.
Yeah.
You can ask somebody once for something, maybe twice, but you can't keep like, I mean, there would be comics that would just, it's like I threw like a monthly show, and it's like some comedians would ask like 3 or 4 times a year to do the show. I go, there's 12 shows a year. There's not, I can put you on the show maybe twice a year. If I'm doing a monthly show, there's so many other comics. So it's like, pay attention. If it's a weekly show, maybe you can ask a little bit more. Maybe you can hit that show seasonally, but look at what you're asking for. And what are you offering to that person too? If you ask to do somebody's show, then you do the show, you didn't do a good job. Let's say like you didn't even do that well on stage, and then you're going to ask them again a few months later to do the show. Like, why don't you show up first and support the show? Be a laughing person in the audience for them before you ask them to do something. Reciprocity. That's what get another thing. It's like if you just keep asking to do something, you're offering nothing. I mean, then that's annoying. You're not, you know? So I think a lot of this also requires some kind of nuanced social skills that some comedians do not have. Like being polite. Yeah.
I've always liked the line, whenever possible in life, offer value before asking for value. Which I think is what you just said pretty much. Yeah.
I think that's the thing too. It's like, you can't. And look, I know that we want these things and but also I think patience is so, I mean, I have young comedians that are like, they're like 26 and they're like, how do you do blah, blah, blah? And how can I be successful? And I'm like, dude, I mean, maybe I'm the wrong person to ask, but like, I'm just like, I feel like, I think that's why I'm at this point where I'm like, I don't, I hate the word deserve, but it's like, I'm like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time that like, I know that I'm good. But like when I was 26 and doing comedy, it's like, I honestly didn't, it's like you didn't really earn your keep that much. Even if you've been doing stand up since you were like 20, let's say you've been doing it for 6 years. And some comedians like, we're all flowers in different stages of bloom, but it's like, you might be good, but like you might not. You have to be good enough that you can come back from an egregious bomb. You know what I mean? Like and that's time. All of this shit is time. Like I think so many times a comic will be doing comedy for like 3 years and be like, okay, how do I get to the next level? It's like, well, this is the level you're at right now. So just like, I mean, comedy is not a quick career. Acting is a lot more quicker, actually. Comedy is really not, because you also like, it's such a social thing that it's like, I mean, a lot of comedians are not famous until they've been doing it for like 15, 20 years. Like Bill Burr. He's doing stand up for like almost like 30 years before like people are like, oh yeah, Bill Burr. Like it's not like all the comedians that you love and respect have been doing it for so fucking long. Yeah. And the ones that like blow up and people don't like that much, it's because they've only been doing it for like 7 years and they blew up and then people were like, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? Seriously.
You think it's because there's more of a craft in comedy, stand-up comedy, than there is in acting? And so you need those reps more?
I think that there are savants in every field. Yeah. And I think that some people, like some stand-up comics, like they haven't even been doing that long and they're amazing. And that's really rare. And I think same with acting. Acting, you are also inhabiting a role and the words are given to you. Yeah. You can bring a certain, je ne sais quoi, but with stand-up, you are everything in it. it's your thoughts and ideas and your words.
Yeah.
So you better be, I mean, yeah, you're making the whole thing. An actor, like you can be a great trained actor and be young and just have like an acting is a technical skill. You are trained. You are, you know, there is a technique to acting, you know, and a lot of people that studied acting understand that. It's not necessarily a formula, but there are, you know, you go to school for it. You can't really go to school for stand-up comedy. So it requires a lot of time and energy and boots on the ground, and it's not a linear path. You can go to Carnegie Mellon as an actor or go to Tisch and learn acting, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good, but it's going to help you. You can't do that with comedy. You just can't, you know?
Do any savants come to mind? Stand-up comedy savants, when you say that in every field there are savants?
I don't know enough about these people's background, to be honest, but I more am speaking to, and I don't want to say these people's names, but because they're like, you know, in the scene now, and they're like, there's some comedians that like I'll meet and like I find out that they're really young. And they've only been doing stand-up for like 3 years and they're really good. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, that to me is very impressive. I don't want to negate the fact that that person who's been doing it for 3 years might have put more time and energy into doing it than somebody who's been doing stand-up for 8 years has been doing it. Maybe they're hitting the ground every fucking day and doing it. You know what I mean? But to me, that's very impressive. Yeah. And you know, here's the thing, we don't all have that time and availability. And I noticed this. A lot of successful comedians, like younger ones, they usually come from a wealthy family. They have time. They don't have to work. Yeah. Or they work very little. Or the only thing that their work is their comedy. And that's a great privilege. And I'm envious, you know? So yeah, I think that's also like, you know, they're already, and by the way, I will say this, a lot of them are very talented. So it's not that they're just, you know, they're lucky that they don't necessarily have to like make a living, you know, doing this thing that is their art. Yeah. And they can just focus on that. And, but yeah, I think there's a lot of young comedians that like, I mean, even like a Pete Davidson, you know, it's like, I mean, a lot of people would say he's not funny, but I'm like, yeah, but like pretty fucking successful on SNL as like a 24-year-old, like, you gotta have, regardless if you think he's funny, other people do, and like fucking Lauren Michaels does. So like, you know, there's that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so yeah, there's a lot of, and he's not like a nepo baby or anything like that. He just, you know, he got kind of lucky, and he's pretty funny, and you know, that happens. Yeah, you know.
Nina, this was great. Thank you.
Thanks.